When will India start playing with the US the way they do with us? And the PM is visiting the US next month. Do you think he's gonna do at once what US diplomats are doing here with the opposition? So the question is, when will India start playing with the US the way the US plays with India? In what way does the US play with India? It interferes in India's internal affairs. It did interfere in some ways, in a variety of ways, in the 2024 general elections by funding and promoting various influencers, so called academics, so called allegedly political parties, by indulging in subnational diplomacy. What does the US do? It engineers regime change operations in India's neighborhood. These are the things that the US does. Okay, these are the things that the US does. I'm sure I can list a whole lot more of what they do. They support a terrorist nation like Pakistan. They funded and financed Pakistani terrorism in India for decades, and much more. That's what the US does. When can India, first of all, does India want to play the same games with the US? Certain things we just don't do, right? We don't support terrorism. We don't do regime change operations. But let's say hypothetically India wanted to do that. Hypothetically. When could India be in a position to do that? Well, the answer is very simple. When India will be in a position to do the same things when India is as powerful as the US is right now, and when the US is as powerful as India is right now. The positions need to reverse for that to happen. So India would need to become a global superpower, and the US would have to become a small regional power. Then India would be in a position to play those games. Long, 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 far away kind of scenario. Okay, it's not that easy. I mean, one does understand that when the Americans do these things, you feel emotional and you want a response, a strong response from the government of India and so on. You can have a strong response only if you have the actual capabilities to withstand what the retaliation could be like. Okay, so there's a big, gigantic difference between words and actions. You make some rash statements, harsh statements, which you cannot back up with hard power, then it's gonna bring a tremendous amount of blowback upon you. So every nation should know what its power is like, what its standing is like in the let's say the Committee of Nations. Then you have to behave and act in a way that is proportional to the amount of power you have in the global arena. So India doesn't have a tremendous amount of power right now. Yeah, we have a gigantic population, largest population in the world. We have a large land area, etc. We have nuclear weapons and we have certain other things. But compared to what the US has, we are a minuscule, tiny little nation compared to the cumulative hard power of the US. So you don't play those games when you are in the situation that India is in right now. Okay? That's simply how it works.